good neighbors with a little understanding. You can find the perfect blend. That's when good neighbors become good friends.
There are so many different strength building exercises out there that sometimes it can feel overwhelming working out how to fit them all in. But that's why for the next 30 days I'm simplifying things. I'm only going to do 2 strength building exercises, the push-up and the pull-up. I'll document my entire journey. I've took down my weight, multiple body measurements, and recorded what my body looks like today so that we can see what impact it has had on my body in 30 days time. My plan is to alternate between the 2 exercises every day, so on day 1 I'll do push-ups, day 2 I'll do pull-ups, then on day 3 I'm back to push-ups, and we continue. That's everything you need to know. Hopefully this makes a difference. Let's get on with it. So as you can see, day 1 was push-ups. I do have a little bit of experience with this exercise, so I was able to do 21 reps in a row off the bat. 7 months ago I was rubbish at push-ups, and if you're the same, there are so many easier variations you can get started with. Anyway, after a 2-minute break, I did another set, and I basically just repeated this process for 30 minutes. And that was me done for the day. I haven't mentioned it yet, but I am sticking to 30 minutes a day throughout this challenge. Is that enough to make gains? I guess we will see. On day 2, it was time for my first pull day. So when it comes to push-ups, I've got a little bit of experience now, but with pull-ups, I'm still very much a beginner. So I think I max out at about 3 reps at the minute. I actually managed to do 4 reps here, but I am very aware that the form is far from perfect. As I said, I'm a beginner, and hopefully as this challenge progresses, my form will continue to improve. While this might not look like anything special, the pull-up is a challenging exercise. And when I first got this pull-up bar 12 months ago, I wasn't capable of anything. As you can see, I literally couldn't pull myself up at all. So I'm already happy with my 4 average reps. I've only done about 12 pull-ups total. You can see I'm already getting fatigued. So I'm going to try eccentric pull-ups now instead. The hardest part of a pull-up is the first half, where you literally have to pull yourself up. So eccentric training is where you skip the first half by jumping into the top position and then lower yourself down in a controlled manner. This trains your body with all the correct muscles and positions without needing to do that initial pull. I kept up with the eccentric exercises, or negatives as some people call them. As I got even more fatigued, I whacked out the resistance bands to reduce my weight. And I'll be honest, I found this quite hard work. I was a little worried about the rest of the challenge, but 30 minutes later, I was done for the day. It is day 3 of this challenge, still very early days, but I am feeling some tenderness already in my upper body, particularly my triceps here, my biceps not so much, but also my chest. So I think that means I'm getting more benefit so far from my push-ups as opposed to my pull-ups. Either way, today is another push day, and even though I'm only doing 2 upper body exercises, I am going to do different variations of those exercises to allow for progression. So today, instead of regular push-ups where your hands are shoulder width apart, I'm going to do diamond push-ups where your hands are together. So here I am in July 2024 attempting my first ever diamond push-up. As you can see, it did not go well. And that makes me very proud of this footage, because here I am doing 17 diamond push-ups in a row. I am buzzing with that. I kept this up with a 2 to 3 minute break per set, and just 30 minutes later my diamond push-ups were done. My palms were a bit sore though. So it's like 10 PM at the end of day 3. Collectively, I've not really done that much exercise. 30 minutes a day isn't a lot, but I am feeling it across my entire upper body, particularly in my lats now as well, which I think is a good sign. I am wondering, is just 30 minutes a day going to make any difference? I guess you'll have to keep watching to find out. On day 4, I decided to switch from standard pull-ups to neutral grip pull-ups. While it's hard to tell from my facial expression, this is a slightly easier exercise for me than the standard grip pull-up because it uses a little bit more of your bicep and a little bit less of your back. I then did another pull routine with all the same tips and tricks I've already discussed for 30 minutes as per usual. Throughout this challenge, I am also doing quite a lot of walking every day, partly because I'm training for another challenge, partly because I'm also dog sitting, but mainly because I just really like walking. This shouldn't have too much of an impact on my gains, providing I make sure I'm having enough calories and protein. I'm trying to eat about 150 grams of protein per day, and a really easy way to track this is with Yazio. You can import everything you're eating to keep track of your daily calories, and with their barcode scanner, this is super easy. I really want to grow muscle this year, so making sure I'm on a calorie surplus and hitting my protein goals is very important. I love how easy it is to keep track of how much water I'm drinking, what my weight's changed to, and if I want to, I can even add how I'm feeling each day. I'm pretty exhausted and fatigued from all these pull-ups, haha. And the Pro version lets you track micronutrients, connect your fitness tracker, and get access to over 2,700 recipes. Calorie counting shouldn't control your life, but if you want to build muscle or lose fat, it can really help you stay on track. And with 95 million downloads, Yazio has you covered. And I can give you 50% off the Pro version, which is £14.99 for an entire year. That works out at just £1.25 per month. So start your journey now with my link below. On day 5, I wanted to make sure I continued to push myself, hahaha. So I was doing multiple sets of decline push-ups off the living room coffee table. It's kind of obvious, but a decline push-up is where your feet are higher in the air than your arms, forcing you to push more weight. This did make my wrists hurt a little bit, which is why I switched to closed fists. And then I also unfortunately started getting a little bit of shoulder pain. So I decided to finish the 30-minute workout with diamond push-ups, because you know I love them. On day 6, I started with a delightful walk, and then surprise, surprise, I did 30 minutes of pull-up based exercises. As I'm still a beginner with these, there's not really a lot of crazy variations I can do. But fortunately, the same can't be said for push-ups, because on day 7, I was doing ring push-ups. This requires more stability and allows me to get a much deeper stretch across my chest. Now, in order to push myself to failure, once I couldn't do any more ring push-ups, I switched to regular push-ups, and then I even did knee push-ups after that. At the time, I was basically going to failure on every single set. I've since learned this is not the best practice, and it's something you should save for your final set. It's the end of the first week, and do you know what? I think that... Is that my back? That's a muscly back, right? I think, yeah? Is this working? I certainly hope so. On day 8, I wanted to try pull-ups with a wider grip. This would hopefully help build my back a bit more. However, when I tried them a month ago, I basically couldn't move at all. When I tried this time, it was a little better. Okay. That's some progress. But my chin was nowhere near the bar, so I definitely need to try some negatives. Oh, that's hard. That's hard. That's much harder than the negatives I have been doing. So I kept going with my negatives, but I didn't push myself too hard because on day 9, I walked 100,000 steps in a day as part of another challenge. You can go watch that video after this one. On day 10, I was back to it, and I actually managed a new push-up record of 26 in a row. 26. That's progress. And I burnt 5,000 calories yesterday, to be fair. For the rest of the 30 minutes, I did decline push-ups. I've really fallen in love with push-ups. I think they're such a great exercise. There's so many progressions you can do, and they don't require any equipment. You can see that in order to push myself to failure, I just kept reducing the height of the decline until I was back to regular push-ups, and I literally couldn't push myself up anymore. On day 11, I wanted to keep the PRs coming and beat my record of 4 pull-ups in a row. Can I do 5 in a row? Let's find out. Once again, I'm not claiming the form's perfect, and the last couple were definitely a struggle, but I managed a new personal record of 6 reps in a row. 6. Kind of. Then I moved on to chin-ups, which is where instead of your hands being like this, your palms are facing you. This is generally a little bit easier because it engages more bicep. Some of you may argue that a chin-up is a different exercise to a pull-up, but I'm going to class it as a pull-up variation. Also, after reviewing the footage, probably not going to do this angle again. It's a bit much, isn't it? Also in the set, I did a bunch of negatives of both narrow grip and wide grip because I want to make sure to train every muscle. About 2 weeks before starting this challenge, I purchased a dip bar, and I was actually making a reasonable amount of progress with my dips. I was managing to get to like 5 reps, but dips are not a push-up or pull-up variation, so therefore I'm not allowed to do them until this current challenge is over. But I think I've come up with a way of using my dip bar to get a really deep stretched pull-up. So I don't know why I was talking as if I'd invented this concept. People have used dip bars for push-ups before, but as you can see, similar to using rings, it is just an easy way to get a deeper stretch at the bottom. Here's a really horrifying alternate angle, by the way. I'll probably regret including this. On day 13, I unlocked my first ever wide gripped pull-up, and as you can see, I was very excited about that. For the rest of the workout, I did multiple sets of every variation. Day 14 was the start of my kitchen push-ups, where I used my dip bar and the kitchen counter to get a deep and declined push-up combo. This worked really well for me, though I did notice after reviewing the footage that my belly was dipping a little bit, so I made sure to really tense my core on my future sets. If you're trying to recreate something like this, just be careful, because you're quite high up, so, you know, don't slip or anything. I was putting a lot of effort into every workout and really pushing myself, which is pretty essential given that I'm only doing 30 minutes. As long as it's an intense 30 minutes with heavy body weight exercises, it should in theory be enough to build muscle, but I guess we will know for sure at the end. On day 15, I tried to improve pull-up form by keeping my feet tucked behind me. Completely straight legs would be better, but I just don't have the room for that here. I'll probably get a taller pull-up bar in the future. I also started holding my chin at the bar in the hopes that it would lead me to reaching the bar more consistently. I am keen for some progressive overload, so I am wearing a weighted jacket. Ooh. Nothing too too intense. I've only got 6 kilograms on, but I'm going to do diamond push-ups and see how it goes. This isn't the best weighted jacket. Something a bit tighter and less bulky would be better. It's interesting because 6 kilograms is not that much, but I can really feel the difference. But I think continuing to challenge myself with the push-ups is a really good idea, because while things are moving slow with my pull-ups, I feel like when it comes to push-ups, I'm showing a bit of potential. This might be a terrible idea, but today I'm going to try and do both the push-ups and the pull-ups in the same workout. I can confirm this was a terrible idea. I don't know what I was thinking. It was too exhausting, it meant I was fatigued doing every set, and even Mackie didn't like it. So on day 18, I resorted back to my previous push-pull split. Once again, back to the kitchen push-ups, this time with a 7 kilogram weighted jacket. This was going well for a while until I started getting a bit of pain. Once I do these deeper stretch exercises for like 20 minutes plus, it definitely brings back that shoulder pain that I keep talking about. It's the same shoulder that I got pain in on my first push-up challenge, so it's obviously just an old injury that comes back. It does hurt quite a bit, sadly, so I'm just going to do regular push-ups to finish this set. The standard push-ups did go well, annoying about my shoulder though. On day 19, after some research, I decided to switch up my pull-up strategy a little bit. Previously, every pull day started by me doing as many unassisted pull-ups as I could. I've since learned that I should warm up a bit and focus on assisted pull-ups with bands, as to not exhaust myself straight away and make sure that my form is good and I can get higher reps done. Obviously, if I was allowed to do something that wasn't pull-ups and push-ups, I could do more warm-up based exercises. But with this specific challenge, this is the best I can do. It's 10 PM, which is much later than I'd normally exercise, but it's just been a busy day. And I want to find out on this push day, can I beat my rep record? So it's 26 to beat. So my strategy here was to do the push-ups with more power than usual, so as fast as possible. This footage is sped up, just in case that's not clear. And it was going pretty well to begin with, but I definitely started slowing down. Can I beat my record of 26 in a row? No, I can't. Maybe too late in the day. I got to 23, so I was nearly there. I may have been defeated, but I kept going for the next 30 minutes, doing a combination of closed fist push-ups to give me more height, and diamond push-ups to put a bit more emphasis on my triceps, because I'd really like to grow those. Day 21 was the only other day I skipped, because I was meeting up with friends, but on day 22, I was back to my pull day, and nearing the end of the challenge. Yesterday was the first time I'd had alcohol during the challenge, which I'm aware is not optimal for protein synthesis, but unless you're training to be an Olympian, you've got to balance working out with actually having a life at the same time. This was, of course, another pull day filled with many grip variations. This is not a sponsor, but I really do recommend this pull-up bar. As you can see, it just hangs on your door frame. There's nothing to screw in, and there are so many different exercises you can do with it, so I'll leave an affiliate link in the description along with my other equipment. On day 23, I warmed up with some diamond push-ups, then I moved on to ring push-ups, and after my first couple of sets, I tried my first weighted ring push-ups. I've got an additional 7 kilograms on here. This all went pretty good. Here I am watering my terrarium between sets, but I like the ring push-ups a lot. They do hurt your hands a little bit though. On day 24, after a haircut, what did I do? I did pull-ups for 30 minutes, of course. Yep, I don't know how many more times I can say this. But on day 25, as the end of the challenge loomed near, I'm gonna add another 2 kg to my weighted jacket, so that'll be, I think, 9 kg total. I then powered through a bunch more weighted ring push-ups. This is quite a tricky exercise, you know. Not that I'm showing off or anything. On my last set, I followed my usual strategy of making the variations easier until I couldn't do any more. On day 26, I wanted to break my record again. My personal best is 6 pull-ups. Can I beat that today? Let's find out. Now, I don't know why I framed this like someone's spying on me, but as you can see, I managed 7 pull-ups with somewhat acceptable form, and then really pushed myself for the rest of this set, which did feel exhausting. Pull-ups really do put a bit of strain on your arm, so please don't rush into things if you're a beginner. And if you find negatives too difficult with your full body weight, don't forget you can still do them with assisted bands, which is what I started doing. It was now day 27. I was very close to finishing this challenge and doing weighted dip kitchen push-ups. I've really enjoyed trying different push-up progressions, and the workout you're most likely to keep doing is the one that you enjoy. So definitely experiment with different things and find what works for you. It's day 28, challenge nearly over. Let's do some pull-ups. So I focused on purely neutral grip for the full 30 minutes, because it kind of combines pull-ups and chin-ups into one great exercise. Day 29, my final push-up day. I really want to beat my rep record, so I got to 26 in a row on day 10. Surely I've got 30 in me today. So here is my attempt in real time. As you can see, I am moving quite quickly, but still getting a good range of motion. And then if we fast forward, I'm proud to confirm I did indeed reach a new PR of 33 push-ups in a row. 33 was that, I think? For the rest of the workout, I did a few different variations. That annoying shoulder pain did creep back though. So after the workout, I did a mobility exercise just to try and sort out that shoulder joint a bit. I'm aware that I look like a suffocating fish, no need to point it out. Despite the weather taking a dark turn, I have still been averaging 12,000 steps throughout this entire challenge, which I understand most people probably don't have time for. But once again, because of my diet, I don't think this is going to have impacted the push-pull challenge very much. It was now the final day and time for my last pull workout. So I'm going to try and do the best form I can and make sure I really attempt to lock out at the bottom. Okay. So here is my official PR attempt in real time so that you can critique my form. I'm trying to throw myself up with a bit of power and then go a bit slower on the eccentric while making sure to lock my arms out at the bottom, which is something that I didn't consistently do through this challenge. As I said, I'd prefer if my legs were totally straight, but I physically don't have the room to do that, so I think they're in an acceptable position. And in the end, I managed 6 pull-ups here. I know I managed 7 the other day, but I think my form is slightly better here. So this is what I'm going to take as my official end result. That being said, I did go on to complete the remaining 30-minute workout. I'm finished. And just like that, that challenge was over. And now here I am on day 32, very curious if all of this effort has had any impact on my body whatsoever. Now, what I do know is that I weighed myself on day 1, and I just weighed myself this morning. I have gained just over 1 kilogram, which is a result of me making sure I eat a lot each day and get plenty protein. Hopefully, of that kilogram, most of it has converted into muscle. Now, just to remind you, building strong muscular physiques literally takes years and years. It's been 30 days, so there's not going to be a crazy difference under this t-shirt, but I have made good progress, particularly with push-ups. I can do some really difficult ones now. I can do quite high reps, and even my pull-ups going from 4 bad ones to 6 good ones, that's progress. It's a difficult exercise. I'm sure there's lots of things I could have done more efficiently, but enough blabbering. I think it's time I take my top off and let's have a look, see if there's any difference, and then I can do all of the measurements as well so that we can see exactly what has changed. All right, here I go. Bye, everyone. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Hey. So thankfully there is a difference. My overall frame just looks a little bit more aesthetic, and there is definitely increased development around my pecs. When I turn to the side, you can see they just look less flabby. And check out the definition on my back. There are muscles visible that were not there on day 1. When we look specifically at my back, even though the lighting in this room has not changed, there is more shading on my day 30 muscles, meaning that they must have grown a bit. Now, an area that unfortunately doesn't look hugely different is my arms. So let's take a look at the measurements and work out what exactly has happened. My bicep when my arm is straight was 29.7 on day 1. It is now 30. That is a difference. That's 0.3 of a centimeter. Would have liked it a little bit higher. But my bicep popped has gone from 33 all the way to 34. So a centimeter in 1 month. I think that's quite good. And my forearm has also increased from 27 to 28. I probably overtrained pull-ups a bit and maybe would have made more progress if I'd done it slightly less intensively. I guess that's just a drawback of being limited to only 2 exercises. Now it's time for my chest measurement. This is the exciting one because my pectorals should have grown from the push-ups, but also my lats should have grown and made my chest a little bit wider from the pull-ups. So on day 1, my chest measurement was 95 centimeters, and just now it is 100 centimeters. I am very impressed with a 5 centimeter increase in just 30 days. And as I said, I do think it's a noticeable difference. But when you compare that with what I looked like 6 months ago, you see the real progress that is being made. So do I recommend this challenge? Kind of, actually, yeah. This was 30 minutes of strength training a day, which is not a big amount of time, 14.5 hours total. Most people can fit that into their routine, and I did it at home entirely. There was no gym involved, with pretty cheap equipment, which is available in the description. I do think my upper body could benefit from some other exercises like lateral raises to help out my delts. But on a basic level, working on your push-ups and your pull-ups is going to have a strong impact. And if I'd done a bit less walking, maybe I'd have even bigger muscles right now. Who knows? So I'm going to keep my exercise up. Make sure you subscribe. I'm going to keep doing challenges like this. Let me know what you want to see from me next in the comments, and I will see you later. Bye. Bye. Bye.